Dutch had always been intrigued by the exotic lands he'd only read about. Among them, Owarai, a small coastal town in Japan, held a particular fascination for him. He dreamt of meeting a unique group of students from the Girls' Academy who drove tanks as a school activity. The amalgamation of innocent youth, powerful machinery, and Japanese culture was alluring. Arthur, ever the wary companion, was supportive of Dutch's curiosity, but couldn't shake off his reservations. The Pinkerton bounty hunters were a constant threat, their relentless pursuit always trailing them. The two men mounted their horses and rode down to the harbour. The salty breeze and the cries of seagulls were a stark contrast to the dusty trails they were accustomed to. Boarding the ship, bound for their destination, Dutch couldn't suppress his excitement. His eyes shone bright with anticipation, while Arthur remained cautious, eyes scanning their surroundings. It would be a long journey, 36 days across the vast ocean. They had preparations to make, plans to enact, and a constant anticipation of the Pinkertons hounding their every step. As the ship cut through the waves, Dutch spent his days reading about Japan. He was fascinated by their samurai warriors, delicate tea ceremonies, and the tales of teenage girls in tanks. Arthur, on the other hand, stayed vigilant. He patrolled the deck and checked for any signs of the Pinkertons. His fears seemed echoed in the ominous clouds in the horizon. Days turned into weeks, and as they approached Japan, Dutch became more animated. He couldn't wait to immerse himself in the culture, the food, and most of all, the tank-driving girls. Dutch's enthusiasm was infectious, and Arthur found himself intrigued by Japan too. He admired the handcrafted katanas, the precision of origami, and began questioning his initial apprehensions. After an arduous journey, they finally landed in Owarai. The town was quaint and beautiful, nestled by the sea. Its cobbled streets and wooden houses were a pleasant change from the Wild West. The moment they stepped off the ship, Dutch felt an immediate affinity to Owarai. Its peace and tranquility appealed to his spirit of adventure, promising a journey beyond the ordinary. Arthur was wary, but slowly began to relax, taking in the serene Japanese landscape. However, he knew they had to stay on guard. The threat of bounty hunters was still very real. The next day they headed to the Girls' Academy. Dutch met a student, a young girl who introduced herself as Miho. Her sweet smile and courage impressed him. Dutch, Arthur and Miho spent hours conversing, exchanging their tales. Miho offered to show them the tanks, her eyes gleaming with pride as she led them to the tank garage. The sight of the tanks astounded both Dutch and Arthur. The sheer power and magnitude of such machines in the hands of schoolgirls was a spectacle to behold. Dutch, though initially disillusioned, now felt a sense of profound respect for Miho and her peers. Arthur, ever practical, wondered about the safety of such an activity. Days went by as they learned more about the Japanese culture. They tasted local delicacies, experiencing the art and tradition that came with the island nation. Then one day, they received a coded message. The Pinkertons were closing in on their location. Their tranquil time in Warai was abruptly cut short. Despite the threat, Dutch was determined to watch Miho and her team in a tank battle. Arthur, though initially hesitant, gave in to Dutch's insistence. The battle was fierce, with dirt and smoke swirling around them. Dutch and Arthur watched in awe as Miho skillfully maneuvered her tank, displaying a courage beyond her years. The Pinkertons finally arrived, forcing Dutch and Arthur into a desperate retreat. With Miho's help, they managed to escape the town under the cover of the tank battle's chaos. They boarded a ship under the cover of darkness, leaving behind the beautiful coastal town of Owarai. It was a rushed farewell, leaving them with an ache of longing. As they sailed away, Dutch could still picture Miho's determination and the rumble of her tank. Arthur, having seen the strength of these young girls, felt his perspective shift. Amid the danger and uncertainty, Owarai had gifted them unforgettable memories and lessons. Although the threat of Pinkertons continued to loom, their spirits remained unbroken. They returned to the Wild West, but a piece of their hearts had stayed behind in Ori. They longed for their Japanese adventure and the brave girls they had met. Dutch and Arthur's journey had started with curiosity and ended with newfound respect for the culture they encountered. The road to Orai had indeed been a daring adventure.